Breaking overnight, with millions of Americans a day away from losing the critical lifeline of SNAP food benefits amid the government shutdown, President Trump is now calling on Republicans to go nuclear. The president posting online, "It is now time for the Republicans to play their Trump card and go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now." The filibuster requires 60 votes to pass funding to reopen the government. Getting rid of it would mean Republicans could pass the bill with a simple majority vote. But it's empty on Capitol Hill this morning, and senators have left town for the weekend ahead of the critical day. Tomorrow marks the first day of open enrollment as well for Obamacare, where health premiums have skyrocketed, a major sticking point for Democrats. And also tomorrow, 42 million Americans who rely on food stamps will see a lapse in benefits, forcing many to go hungry or skip paying certain bills so that they can buy food for themselves and their families. CNN's Kevin Liptak is joining us now from the White House. Kevin, what is the latest? We have seen these posts from the president making some demands on his Republican colleagues.
Yeah, and they call this the nuclear option for a reason. It's viewed as a last resort, even by members of the majority, and it would have the effect of incinerating precedent in the Senate. And so this is a step that even Republicans have been wary to use in the past, but clearly President Trump has made the determination that now is the time. He said he gave this a lot of thought on that lengthy flight back from Asia, where he says he was asked repeatedly why the U.S. government remains shut down, and now is calling on Republicans to eliminate that 60 vote threshold. Now, you know, the timing here is notable. We had started to see some glimmers of progress on Capitol Hill at trying to reach a deal to end this stalemate. Now, to be sure, the deal remains out of reach for now, and the president's call to eliminate the filibuster could have the effect of upending those negotiations. And, you know, it's not at all clear that Republicans are going to be on board with this. We have heard from them in the past that doing this could have the effect of coming back to haunt them if Democrats come back into power. You've heard that from the Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who just said earlier this month that the filibuster is, quote, something that's been a bulwark against a lot of really bad things happening with the country. This viewpoint was also articulated by the House Speaker Mike Johnson not that long ago. Listen to what he said.
Is it possible? Yes. Is it wise? You can have a lot of people who would tell you it's not. I mean, on the Republican side, I would be deeply concerned if the Democrats had a bare majority in the Senate right now.
Now, earlier this month, Thune said that he had received no pressure from the White House to eliminate the filibuster. Clearly, that has now changed. President Trump arguing that Democrats would be prepared to do the same thing if they came back into power. Now, Trump is not the first president to call for altering the filibuster. Remember, Joe Biden called for a carve-out to pass legislation related to voting rights and abortion rights, but he was stymied by members of his own party. Now, the Senate will be back in on Monday evening. That will put them just days away from breaking the 35-day record for the longest government shutdown in history.
Yeah. Kevin Liptak, reporting for you this morning. Thank you so much. Kate.
Also joining us right now for more on this is Steph Kite, political reporter for Axios. All right, so initiate the nuclear option, says President Trump. I mean, how are leaders likely to react to this? How does this, will this change the dynamic of what was and wasn't happening on Capitol Hill, which is negotiating?
The reality is most Republicans in the Senate are opposed to doing away with the filibuster, and they've been on the record saying this for a long time. In particular, Majority Leader John Thune has been asked about this on multiple occasions and has made it clear that that's not an option that he would like to move toward. So it's not going to be received particularly well in the Senate among Republicans, but it is going to make people uncomfortable. This is a party that does not like to break from President Trump. It's a party that likes to do what President Trump tells them to do. And so it's going to make things uncomfortable. The other side of this is that Democrats have been hoping to work with Trump in particular to try to get him to some kind of an agreement to move forward and push for extending these Obamacare enhanced subsidies that are expiring at the end of the year. Democrats have had a lot of hope that they can get in the room with Trump and get Trump to put more pressure on especially the House Speaker Mike Johnson to get this done. This doesn't particularly indicate that Trump is willing to work with Democrats on this issue as he's coming back from this overseas trip. So it does threaten these slow conversations that we've seen this week.
And you might be hitting on it. Possibly there might be an element of the president doesn't want to have his hands on this negotiation, have his fingerprints on a shutdown. And so he's saying, eviscerate the filibuster so you guys can handle it and I don't have to be part of this at all. Could be part of the motivation here. Then you now have another industry coming out and speaking out. The nation's 4 largest airlines coming out to say that it's time to pass a clean CR. You've got United CEO told reporters about this, said that Congress should negotiate about other policies, including healthcare subsidies, after the shutdown's over. Is this going to have an impact on top of the fact that you have millions of low-income families are going to go without food stamp benefits starting this weekend?
I mean, of course, the pressure just keeps building for Congress to figure this out and figure it out quickly. Not only did we hear from these unions associated with the airlines, but we've also heard from Teamsters. And earlier this week, there was the largest federal government worker union also came out calling for a clean CR. So again, all of this on top of the fact that you're going to have millions of people potentially losing access to food assistance that they need, open enrollment, elections next week. This just keeps building into more and more pain points. And that is going to continue to push both parties to get to the negotiating table and finally hash something out.
But what does it? I mean, you've got I actually thought a breaking point would have been the largest federal workers union. And now that didn't change the dynamic enough, if you will. Let us see. It's great to see you, Steph. Thank you very much.
There's a couple options here, new options apparently, that have been introduced. And one is from President Trump, who on Truth Social last night weighed in with this idea. He said Republican senators need to play their, quote, Trump card and kill the filibuster to reopen the government. And he is saying that Republican senators have warned against doing this, but Trump says he wants to change the, quote, take advantage of the Democrats. Can you help me interpret why this, why now on his return from Asia and not some kind of last-minute hustle to get lawmakers together?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a classic tactic that we see Trump use on a regular basis, which is go for the maximal case as the executive to make negotiating with folks on the congressional level a little bit more palatable. I think Elliot laid out a great tension that you see that's been a tension that's played out really since the 60s between whether the judiciary has a say over how our regulations are actually implemented, or if that's something left to the administrative state, that's something left to the bureaucracy. And both the right and left have come down on different sides of that equation. And I think the president is obviously going to go for a maximalist approach to his own powers. And that includes potentially changing the rules of Congress. This is the type of tension that we're used to seeing, right? The filibuster used to be a 2/3 majority, but now it's only a 60-vote majority.
Okay.
And I mean, you've seen presidents of the left and right discuss the issue of the filibuster. It is a constant issue in our democracy because why? If you just have, 50+1 or a simple majority, what is going to happen? You're going to get your priorities through. And so senators always say, yes, it sounds good today, but what is going to happen when the shoe is on the other foot?
It's also like a political escalation where people are like, but I need the groceries now. Like, why, in a way, does it feel like it's using the moment, a crisis moment, as leverage towards a whole other scale of thing?
I think the bigger picture, though, here is this. Why has the president decided that certain people will get paid and not people who actually are in food lines, working for the federal government, in a lot of need? He has made certain determinations about who actually is worthy of federal aid at this moment while this political situation plays out. That's the military, those are other people that he has deemed worthy of getting paid. And then, the bureaucrats, quote unquote, that he has chosen to really vilify throughout this entire process don't get paid. And I think that is something that is playing out really in the political arena.